I wiped the lipstick off because I couldn't take it anymore seeing myself like that. And I have to distinguish this video from the others when I post it, just to let my own self know that, you know, this is not the last video. So anyway, so what are these, you know, underground reptiles, Vrill, you know, which is just the German word for reptile, you know, non-player characters, you know, the Smiths, I think you call them, from the Matrix, you know, what, you know, and the human side of it, these brothers of the serpent, what are they like? What are they actually for? Well, they are angry all the time, and no one and nothing is ever good enough for them. So we've moved on to what they are for. So usually you either can't get them to shut the fuck up like Trump, or you can't get them to speak at all. And when and if they do speak, they speak in great and terrible anger, and they don't say much at all. And what they do say doesn't, you know, it either has nothing to do with what's going on, or, you know, I mean, it's really odd stuff. It's really odd stuff. So what else are they for? They are for religion, believe it or not, and put religion above their own family and friends, etc. By and large, they are the ones who will kick their own flesh and blood out and their own kids out because the church said they were a sinner or immoral or what have you. And just realize that in doing that, that they are choosing their own religion over their own family, over their own flesh and blood, over their own kids, etc. So just let that seep in. I know that there's a lot of people out there who say, oh my God, my parents did that to me. There's no way they could be. No, you know what I found out? That a lot of times the one that gets kicked out is the, quote, black sheep, unquote, in the family. That is the only human in the family, and the rest of the family, and this is the way the Matrix works. This Matrix that they built, they will put one human in an entire family full of nothing but non-player characters. An entire family full of brothers of the serpent, underground reptiles, Vrill, what have you. You know, you'll have the one Christian in an entire family of Satanists. Literally. Literally. How did that even happen? It's because it was built that way. It was built that way purposefully for a reason. They put that person in that family, in that friend group, in that neighborhood, in that school, in that group of teachers, in that job, what have you, to control them and to torture them and to, you know, get whatever energies and whatnot they can out of that person, out of that person's soul, out of that person's consciousness, out of that person's, you know, to try to pump that person for loosh is what it's called. And usually the best thing that they found is that you got to get the person constantly, you know, if you constantly have them on edge during their waking life and, you know, when they're asleep, then you get better stuff from them when they're asleep, literally. And I'll go into that too, but I need to get through these notes here first. So, what else are they for? They are for the government, and they also put any entities of power over their own children, over their own family, over their own spouses, over their own friends, even their own personal opinions, feelings, thoughts, etc. So, you know, when the government comes along, or the state or local government comes along, or even the cops come along and say, that's wrong, you know, you shouldn't think like that, you shouldn't believe like that, you shouldn't talk like that, you shouldn't, you know, they're going to actually side with the government or with the county. Oh, these phone calls are getting annoying. So, where was I? Okay, so if the government, or basically any entity of authority at all, whether it be religion, whether it be government, whether it be schools, doctors, you name it, they will side with the doctor instead of their own kid that says that they're sick. They will side with, you know, I don't know, whatever new rule or law was passed, even if they entirely disagree with it. They will side with, you know, the teacher or the coach when the teacher or the coach says that, you know, their kid is doing wrong, even though their kid tells them otherwise. They will, I mean, it is insane. They will side with, you know, the politician or the lawyer instead of their own friend who they've known their whole life. Literally. That's what, I don't know how to get this across other than just to state it as it is. They will side with voices of authority instead of siding with the very people that they've known their whole lives, instead of siding with their own children, their own flesh and blood, instead of being on the side of, you know, if you don't know your child well enough to trust and believe your own child, then you're not a parent. What kind of a parent are you? You're not a parent at all. In fact, the daycare worker probably knows your kid better than you do. You know, it's time to stop and take some time and actually get to know your own kid. You know, a teacher should not know your kid better than you. And I don't mean, and by the way, the other point to this is that there's a lot of people who are very, all right, not people, but there's a lot of people who think that parenting is abuse, literally beating the kid, spanking the kid, punishing them, grounding them. They think that that is parenting. That isn't parenting. That is abuse. What parenting is loving a child. What parenting is listening to a child, growing with them, and finding out, who do you have as a human being in your life? Who is this human being? What do they think? What do they believe? That is actual parenting, you know, and helping them make it to adulthood, you know, and actually then survive adulthood to the best of your ability. You know, at some point, you know, kids stop listening. Obviously, it's biological. It's the way it is. You know, some of them you can't get them to listen to begin with, but still, you know, but still, literally, parenting is not punishment. The NPCs and the Vrills think that punishment and making a strong child, that is one of their big tip-offs. They're big tip-offs. Big tip-offs. They love essentially torturing is what it actually is. Torturing a child, making the child tough, and being able to make sure that the child will be able to survive out in the world. That is what they are bent on. They believe in punishment, physical punishment, hitting the kids, spanking them, pulling their hair. You know, they believe in grounding them a lot, you know, depriving them of whatever they possibly can. Don't give them dinner. Don't give them water. You know, don't give them milk. Don't give them anything to eat or drink. You know, make sure that they don't have a coat. Make sure that they don't have heating. You know, make them stay out in a tent in the backyard in the burning heat. You know, then they'll totally give in to my demands. That right there is an non-player character. That right there is a reptile. That right there is an underground reptile, a Vrill. That right there, if human at all, is a brother of the serpent. And that is how they raise their children. Their children is literally a thing for them to spend. It's like money for them to spend. And if they can't get out of their kid what they want, they will spend their kid. They will kick the kid out of the house, you know, which is very common in Asia. If they can't get the kid to give them what they want, they will kick the kid out of the house. Or they will, you know, as they're doing nowadays, they will shove them into a psychiatric facility and drug the hell out of them to make sure that they get from that kid what they want. You know, you are straight. We're going to conversion therapy you into, you know, you're not going to have sex. You know, you're going to go away to this boot camp to get it beaten into you to not have sex and to not smoke and to not drink. You know, we're going to make sure that you don't ever do pot again. So we're going to send you away to military school. You know, I mean, it just literally, those are non-player characters. Those parents, quote unquote parents, are non-player characters. So on to the next one.